that how can a Muslim who lives, for example, in Pakistan, which is considered to be the second largest Muslim country in the world, and all of his family, relatives, cousins and friends are Muslims, how can he give dawah? Also, if a Muslim donates his wealth to certain dawah teams or organizations, is it considered that the Muslim gave his wealth for sake of dawah? And finally, how many times is it required for a Muslim to give dawah to non-Muslims? The brother basically has asked three questions. The first question is that he is living in Pakistan, which is a majority Muslim country, maybe more than 90% are Muslims. It is the second largest country of Muslims, according to statistics. According to me, the maximum number of Muslims are in India. The government doesn't give the right figure. And then would be Indonesia, and third would be Pakistan. His question are that most of the citizens of Pakistan, most of his relatives, his cousins, friends are Muslims. How can he do dawah? And dawah is one of the requirements in Surah Al-Asr to go to Jannah. The verse of the Quran, the surah of the Quran, Surah Al-Asr, chapter number 103, verse number 1 to 3 says, Wal Asr, Innal insana lafi khusr, illa alladhina amanu, wa amilu salihati, wa tawasaw bil haqq wa tawasaw bis sabr. By the token of time, man is verily in a state of loss, except those who have faith, those who have righteous deed, those who exhort people to truth, that is doing dawah and islah, and those who exhort people to patience and perseverance. This third category, وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ, inviting people to truth, basically involves calling the human beings toward the truth. When you call a non-Muslim towards Islam, it's called as dawah. When you call Muslim towards Islam, it is called as islah. Though dawah is simultaneously used synonymously for both categories, but specifically when you speak about Islam to Muslims and improving them, it's called islah, improving. And the more appropriate Arabic word when you invite a non-Muslim toward the fold of Islam is called as dawah. In the category of watawasaw bil haqq, it includes both. Inviting people to the truth, it is dawah and islah, but of course, more important between the two is dawah. Now coming to your question, if majority people are Muslims, how will you do dawah? That reminds me of the farewell pilgrimage, Hajjatul Wida of a beloved Prophet ﷺ. When he gave his last farewell speech in Makkah, there were about 124,000 Sahabas. And we know that in Makkah, all the people were Muslims. He told there to the Sahabas that did I deliver the message to you? And all of them said, yes, Beshak, you delivered the message. He said, those present here deliver the message to those who are not present here. And we know from history that majority of the Sahabas, they went outside Makkah to do dawah to the non-Muslims. Majority of the Sahabas are buried outside Makkah. So what we realize from this, that they are following the guidance of Allah, that in a place of Makkah where 100% are Muslims, yet our Sahabas, majority, went outside to dawah to the non-Muslims. So dawah is very important, that is convey the message to non-Muslims. And you being in Pakistan, nowadays, because of science and technology, you don't have to travel outside Pakistan to do dawah to non-Muslims if they're not in your country. They are there in your country, the percentage of non-Muslims is there. To say that they're not there is wrong. And today, in the age of science and technology, in the age of social media, you don't have to travel outside your home to do dawah. You can do dawah sitting in your home and interact with people all over the world. Today, our world has become a global village. So, after science and technology has advanced, you don't have to travel like what our Sahabas did. They traveled and they spent their life, which was very difficult. Today, life is easy. You can go on the net, on the social media, and interact with people throughout the world. That doesn't mean you cannot travel, you cannot do dawah one-to-one. Of course, one-to-one dawah is more effective, is the most effective. Then would be giving lectures, then would be coming with the media, including social media, or on the television, or on the radio, but the best is one-to-one. So, being in Pakistan, yet you can convey the message to the non-Muslims, whether directly, whether by traveling, or whether on the social media. Coming to your second question, that if you donate to dawah organization, will that be counted as dawah? It would be somewhat like dawah, but not exactly equate to you doing dawah with your tongue, or with your actions, or with going on the net. But if you donate to dawah organizations, of course it will help them and you'll get the reward. It may not compensate completely, but surely partly. You cannot say that because I'm doing donation, I need not do dawah, because there are verses in the Quran saying kul 323 times. Giving charity is good. So it will compensate partly, but not completely. So if you're doing less dawah, surely do give charity. Even if you're doing dawah, give charity to dawah organizations. But doing one-to-one yourself is of a higher level. Whether you may be having a company, you may be having workers with you, or you may be an employee, you may do dawah with your colleagues. There are various opportunities. You can hear my video cassettes, and there are various ways you can do dawah. Coming to the last and the third question, that how many times is required for a Muslim to dawah in a day? There is no fixed requirement how many times in a day you should do dawah, but more the better. According to Surah Al-Asr, it's talking about every Muslim should at least be a part-time da'i. Part-time da'i means make dawah at least your part-time, whether it be few minutes a day or half an hour or 1 hour or few hours a week. But the best is being a full-time da'i. As Allah says in the Quran in Surah Al-Imran chapter number 3 verse number 104, let there arise out of you a band of people that enjoin people to the good, forbid them from doing wrong. These are the people who shall attain felicity. Here in Surah Al-Imran chapter 3 verse number 104, Allah is talking about full-time da'i. The best would be full-time da'i. How you spend about 8 hours in an organization. When you work in an organization or a company for 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, it's called a full-time job. So if you spend 8 hours or more every day, at least 5 days or 6 days a week, I would call it as a full-time da'i. If you do less than that, if you're doing half, then maybe a part-time da'i. If you're doing once in a blue moon, I call you a spare-time da'i. So best to be full-time da'i. And Allah says in the Quran, the verse I started this program with, or Surah Fussilat, chapter number 41, verse number 33, where Allah says, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَالَ مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ وَعَمِلُوا صَالِحًا وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. Who is better in speech than one who invites to the way of thy Lord, works righteousness, and says that I am a Muslim? Here Allah is talking about in the Quran that the best profession a human being can adopt is the profession of a da'i. And what was the profession of the beloved Prophet? He was a messenger. His main profession was to deliver the message of Allah. He was a da'i. He was a messenger. So the best profession that will get you the best reward in the akhirah is of a da'i. If you're a full-time da'i, it's the best. Or if you are more than full-time da'i, a double-time da'i, that's better. If not, at least be a part-time da'i. Spend a few hours in a day, 2 hours, okay, 3 hours, okay, 1 hour. And if you are a spare-time da'i doing dawah once in a while, maybe half an hour a week, then that is the minimum required, but not sufficient. So if you ask me how many times you should do dawah, what should the duration, the best is to be a full-time da'i. That's the best profession. It will benefit you in this world as well as in the akhirah.